ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुक्तापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगणललिता श्रीशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां भावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। So welcome to IBC Siksha. We'll continue with chapter number 15. 16th verse is what we had stopped last time. Um, 16th verse we had stopped. Just one. Yeah. So we'll just do a small recap. Just do a small recap. Oh, step time. So in this chapter, Krishna talks about inverted tree, right? Where it is. It talks about an inverted tree. Roots going up, branches going down, right? All the fruits are on this tree, branches are up, and the soul is moving from one body to another, one just the branches to enjoy. Now, when he moves up, he goes for liberation, basically. And Krishna says we have to desire to go to a place where one doesn't return back and where things are permanent, eternally permanent. So, they just like in a reflection, we cannot really find any happiness in the reflection, right? Um, like like you must have seen, video games, children playing video games, right? So sometimes those video games say that you have earned $100, you have earned $1,000. In reality, do the children earn anything in those video games?
No, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So in this reflection, it's a reflection, right? So in reality, the pleasure is not there. It is only in the mind. Similarly, in this world, the pleasure is always like this. That it is there in the mind. Sometimes it comes, then it goes away, right? So we are kind of unhappy here. So Krishna says, "Come to my abode." So few of the verses he talks about his abode uh, that we read. It's not illuminated by sun, moon, fire, electricity. Um, when Krishna says, I am digestion in the body, I am air of life, outgoing and going. I enter into each planet, stay in the orbit. So all this information should be very interesting for us, and we should then go to Krishna because he's having all these kind of opulences, right? Now Krishna talks about his ultimate opulence. That's what we are going to discuss today. But before that, we read this 15th chapter, 15th verse. He says, I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance, knowledge, forgetfulness. So Krishna is giving remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. Remembrance means whatever we want to do in this life, whoever we have identified. So that remembrance is given. Then knowledge is given to execute, and forgetfulness, forgetting past sadness and so many things. And from the all of the Vedas, who is to be known? Krishna is to be known. And who is the compiler of Vedanta? Krishna is the compiler of Vedanta. Okay. So we'll go into chapter text number 60. We shortly discussed that this thing. There are two classes of being: fallible, infallible. In the material world, every living being, every entity is fallible. In the spiritual world, every living entity is infallible. Fallible, infallible means what? It means that the living entity is attracted to material energy, then it is fallible. When it is not attracted to material energy, it remains in spiritual energy, then it is infallible. Okay. Yeah. Can you read the purport?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hmm.
As already explained, the Lord in his incarnation as Vyasadeva compiled the Vedanta Sutra. Here the Lord is giving
In summary.
in summary the contents of Vedanta Sutra. He says that the living entity who are innumerable can be divided into two classes, fallible and infallible. Living entities are eternally separated parts and parcels of Supreme Personality of Godhead. When they are in contact with material world, they are called Jiva Bhuta. And the Sanskrit words given here, Sharah Sarvani Bhutane, means that they are fallible. Those who are in oneness with Supreme Personality of Godhead, however, are called infallible. Oneness does not mean that they have no individuality, but there is no disunity. They are all agreeable to the purpose of creation.
So, in the spiritual world, right, they are in agreeable to the Lord. They are in unity with the Lord. There is no disunity with the Lord. Just like, Lord Ram has so many servants: Hanuman, Vibhishan, and other his brothers are there. So they are all agreeing with him, right? They are all happy with him. Similarly, Lord Narayan has so many servants: Garuda, Sudarshan, Gada, then his bow, Sarang. They are all agreeing with him. They are all happy with him. So these entities, they don't fall. They're infallible, like that. Now read this section.
Living entities who are struggling in this world with the mind and five senses have their material bodies which are changing. As long as living entity is conditioned, his body changes due to contact with matter. Matter is changing. So living entities appear to be changing. But in a spiritual world, body is made up of matter. Therefore, there is no change. In material world, the living entity undergoes six changes: birth, growth, duration, reproduction, then dwindling and vanishing. These are the changes of material body. But in the spiritual world, the body does not change. There is no old age, there is no birth, there is no death. There are all exist in oneness. Shara, Shara Sarvani Bhutani, any living entities who has come in contact with the matter, beginning from the first created being, Brahma, down to small ant, is changing its body. Therefore, they are all fallible. In the spiritual world, however, they are always liberated in oneness.
Yeah. So in this material world, right, our body is changing, right? There is birth, growth, duration, reproduction, and dwindling and vanishing. In the spiritual world, there is no such thing like this. It's a
What
spiritual
is
world.
dwindling, Prabhuji? Dwindling.
Dwindling?
Dwindling. Dwindling.
Yeah, dwindling is reducing. Slowly
Okay.
it is reducing, and vanishing means completely goes away. Like
Okay.
in old age, right? The people just shrunk, right?
Okay. They will
Yeah, skin will shrink,
take stick
bones will
and walk.
shrink. Yeah. So it's dwindling. It
Mhm.
slowly they become small, like that. So yeah, in this material world, all the living entities like you and me are fallible. Fallible. Yeah, we are fallible entities. Now, interestingly, in this living entity, Krishna is not there only. He's neither fallible, neither infallible. These definitions don't apply to him. You understand? Because he's Supreme Lord, these definitions don't apply to him. Just like, there are traffic rules. But if the chief minister or the prime minister, they are traveling in a car, and do the traffic rules apply to them? What do you see? Do the traffic rules apply to the chief minister, prime minister? No, right? Their car
No
just,
problem.
yeah, the car just like same. Another question: do the traffic rules on the road apply to the aeroplanes? No, right?
No, no.
So the thing is, Krishna is like this. These rules don't apply to him. They don't even touch him. So that's what Krishna is going to say in 17th verse. Besides these, besides the two, okay, there is the greatest living personality, the super soul, the supreme soul, the imperishable Lord himself, who has entered the three worlds and is maintaining them. So the supreme Lord is a very third entity to which these definitions cannot be applied. Fallible, infallible. Okay, like is Krishna fallible or infallible?
It is not applicable to him, no, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So, but to explain, we have to say he's infallible. He cannot fall down.
Okay.
Right. But that question doesn't even arise to Krishna. We cannot apply that definition. It is just for some explanation, but not like we can really apply that. Okay. So what you said is right. Can you read the purport?
Okay, Prabhuji.
Hmm.
The idea of this verse is very nicely explained in the Katha Upanishad 2.2.13 and
Svetaswara
Svetaswara
Upanishad.
Svetaswara Upanishad 6.13. It is clearly stated that above innumerable living entities, some of whom are conditioned and some of whom are liberated, there is Supreme Personality who is Paramatma. Upanishadic version runs as follows: Nityo Nityananam Chetanam Chetananam. The purport is that amongst all the living entities, both conditioned and liberated, there is one supreme living personality, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who maintains them and gives them all the facility of enjoyment according to the different work. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated in everyone's heart as Paramatma. A wise man who can understand him he is eligible to attain perfect peace, not others.
Okay. So here, there are two things that are mentioned here. There is a living entity who has entered the three worlds and maintaining them. So do the jivas fall into this? Do they have that capacity to enter the three worlds and maintain them?
No, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So that is the difference of the supreme soul and the normal soul. That the supreme soul has amazing opulences, great power, but the individual soul doesn't have that. So that's why Krishna says, besides the two, there is the greatest living entity. And now who he reveals who is this greatest living entity. Can you read?
No one can
No,
surpass the
translation.
Supreme because I am transcendental, beyond both fallible and infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as a supreme person.
Okay, okay. See, Krishna is saying, I am the greatest. Is there pride in Krishna? If some person comes and tells you, I am the greatest. What do you think? Is he talking in a very proud tone, or is Krishna proud? Tell me.
No, Prabhuji, just for our information, he's telling.
Hmm. Just like just like say somebody he tops the IIT JEE exam, he gets first rank, then he will say I got the first rank. It's a very tough exam, right? So many lakhs people come, and out of which only few thousands of them get admission to IIT, right? So this person who get the first rank, he is saying I got the first rank. Now somebody may hear this and say that, oh, he's talking so proud, such a proud person he is. No, that is what he has done. That's why he's saying, right? So that's how even Krishna is saying, I am the greatest. It is not that he's imposing that thing on us. He's just saying his biodata. Now his biodata is great. What to do, right? A rich man may say, I have like you know 500 crore rupees in my bank account. Now that really happens. So therefore he's saying, right? So this is what Krishna is saying. He's being truthful. Now it happens to be his opulence, so we should not get envious of it. Okay, read. Read further.
No one can surplus
No, no,
the supreme
surpass, surpass.
surpass. No one can surpass the supreme personality of Godhead, Krishna, neither the conditioned soul nor liberated soul. He is therefore the greatest of personality. Now it is clear here that living entities and the supreme personality of Godhead are individuals. Difference is that living entities, either in conditioned state or in a liberated state, cannot surpass in the quantity the inconceivable potencies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is incorrect to think of Supreme Lord and the living entities as being on the same level or equal in all respects. There is always the question of superiority and inferiority between their personalities. The word Uttama is very significant. No one can surpass the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The word Loke signifies in the
Purusha
Purusha,
Agama
Purusha Agama Smriti
and
scriptures as
Nirukti Dictionary.
confirmed in
Nirukti,
Nirukti Dictionary, Lokayat
Vedartho Nena.
Vedartho Nena. The purpose of Vedas is explained by the Smriti scriptures. The Supreme Lord, in his localized aspect of Paramatma, is also described in the Vedas themselves. Following verse appears in the Vedas, Chandogya
Chandogya
Upanishad,
Upanishad 8:12
Chandogya Upanishad
3.
8.12 dot
0.3.
3.3.
You
The
read
with
this. The
its
super soul.
super soul coming out of body enters impersonal Brahmajyoti. Then in his form he remains in his spiritual identity. That supreme is called Supreme Personality. This means that the Supreme Personality is exhibiting and diffusing his spiritual effulgence, which is the ultimate illumination. That Supreme Personality also has a localized aspect as a Paramatma by incarnating himself as the son of Sachavati Parasara. He explained the Vedic knowledge as a Vyasa Deva.
Okay. So few things that were discussed here is the living entity cannot be equal to the Supreme Lord. They just cannot. You know, in quantity we cannot surpass the inconceivable potencies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the word Uttama is used. Second thing, the Supreme Lord, he expands into Paramatma and spreads all over the world. And from that Paramatma, I mean, from the body of the Supreme Lord, the impersonal Brahmajyoti is emanated. Okay. And Vyasadeva was son of Satyavati and Parashara. Someone join something. Okay. Okay. Now this is a very important verse, 19th verse. Yeah, you can repeat with me. Yo mam evam asam hudo
Yo eva masamudo
janati purushottamam
janati purushottamam
sa sarvid bhajate mam
sa sarvavid bhajate mam
sarva bhavena bharata.
sarva bhavena bharata.
So now that we know the glories of Krishna, what we will do? We will perform devotional service onto him. This is what the verse is saying. Just a minute. Yeah. Yeah. Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata. So now we came to know Krishna's glories, right? So then it becomes easy to practice devotional service, right?
Yes, yes.
See, when we come to know Krishna is supreme, then we become interested in serving him. No? Then we want to serve him. Like if in a train or in a bus or maybe in a plane, some person sits next to you, and then later on you come to know that this person is a very famous person. Then what will that person? Then what will you do once you come to know this person is a famous person?
We'll take photo.
Yeah, I will take photo of him and try to do something for him, right?
Yes,
Like sometimes these cricket stars, movie I won't say stars, but it's cricketers, famous cricketers and famous actresses. They sometimes go to some hotel or something. Now that person, the owner of that hotel, if he comes to know that such famous people have come to my hotel, what is he going to do? Tell me.
we won't charge them.
Yeah, he won't charge it. So not charging is also doing service, right?
Yes, yes,
And he may arrange a special table for them, special chair for them, special location for them, right?
yes, yes.
Yeah, so when we know about the glories of Krishna, we will start doing the same thing for him. And when we start doing something for him, then that is called as devotional service, voluntary service we are trying to do out of respect, out of some awe and respect. It is a part of devotional service. Okay. Yeah. Can you read this purport?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, go
There
ahead.
are many philosophical speculations about a constitutional position of a living entity and the supreme absolute truth. Now, in this word, the supreme personality of Godhead clearly explains that anyone who knows Lord Krishna to be a supreme person is actually knower of everything. Imperfect knower goes on simply speculating about absolute truth. But the perfect knower, without wasting his valuable time, engages directly in the Krishna consciousness, the devotional service of the Supreme Lord throughout the whole of Bhagavad Gita, this fact is being stressed at every step, and still there are so many stubborn commentators on Bhagavad Gita who consider the supreme absolute truth and the living entities to be one and the same. Vedic knowledge is called Shruti, learning by oral perception. One should actually receive the Vedic message from authorities like Krishna and his representatives. Here, Krishna distinguishes everything very nicely, and one should hear from this source. Simply to hear like a ox is not sufficient. One must be able to understand from the authorities. It is not that one should simply speculate academically. One should submissively hear from Bhagavad Gita that living entities are always subordinate to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Anyone who is able to understand this according to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna knows the purpose of Vedas. No one else knows the purpose of Vedas. The word bhajati is very significant. In many places, the word bhajati is expressed in relationship with service of Supreme Lord. If the person is engaged in full Krishna consciousness in devotional service of a Lord, it is understood that he has understood all the Vedic knowledge. In the Vaishnava Parampara, it is said that if one is engaged in the devotional service of Krishna, then there is no need for any other spiritual process for understanding the supreme absolute truth. He has already come to the point because he is engaged in the devotional service of a Lord. He has ended all the preliminary process of understanding. But if anyone, after speculating for hundreds of thousands of life, does not come to the point that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, and that one has to surrender their all his speculation for so many years, and the life is useless waste of time.
Okay. So, um, see, Krishna is very clearly saying, right? He is the supreme person of Godhead. But still, there are commentators who are commentating that no, something inside of Krishna is the supreme. Something like that, they say. Okay. But one who takes this knowledge, straightforward and with a simple and a submissive mood, hmm, they can advance very nicely. And the bhajati means it is service also. It's not just devotion. It is service also. Okay. And one who does devotion to Krishna, devotional service to Krishna, he has nothing to do with any other spiritual process. He has achieved the highest. Okay. And those who don't do this, then they go on into speculation for many, many years, many lives, times, and it's just a waste of time. Any questions on this verse?
Prabhuji, Smriti and Smriti, Shruti and Smriti, we have come across this reading.
Hmm. Okay, what is that?
Shruti and
That
Smriti,
is
what
what.
is that?
Okay.
Yeah.
See, Vedic knowledge tree diagram is this. So on the left hand side is Shruti and the right hand side is Smriti. Shruti is where Krishna gave this knowledge directly to Brahma. It was revealed by the absolute truth to Brahmaji. Tene Hriday Adi Kavaye. So in the Bhagavatam first verse only it is explained. तेने हृदय तेने ब्रह्म हृदय आदि कवय मुह्यंति सूर्य. In the heart of Brahma, the Supreme Lord gave all this knowledge. Okay. So the Vedas are divided into two. What directly the Supreme Lord gave? Shrutis, in which he gave the four Vedas. Raj, Rig, Ayur, Sam, Atharva Ved. Upavedas, Chanurveda, Ayurveda, etc. And Kalpa, Shiksha, Vyakaran, Nirukti, Chandas, Jyotisam. So all this is Shruti. Now then what is Smriti literatures? Smriti literatures are composed by the sages who studied this Shruti literature and then they wrote more about the Shruti literatures. Now they are called as Smriti. From their remembrance, from the absorption of this knowledge and from their realization. Okay. What all they wrote? Puranas, Itihas, six darshanas, rituals, and the philosophies like Sankhya philosophy, Yoga philosophy, Vaisheshika philosophy, Nyaya, Mimansa, Vedanta. Okay, sorry. So all this is Smriti. In Smriti, the Itihasas also there. Which are the two Itihasas? Ramayana and Mahabharata. Right? Within Mahabharata is Bhagavad Gita. Now Bhagavad Gita is spoken by who? Krishna. Krishna is
Krishna.
who? Absolute truth. Okay.
Krishna to Arjuna, no, Prabhuji.
Yes, but who is Krishna? Krishna is the absolute truth.
Okay.
So if something is spoken by absolute truth, is it Smriti or Shruti?
Shruti only.
Yeah. So Bhagavad Gita is actually both Shruti also and Smriti also. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, this is how the Vedic knowledge are divided, and this is the tree diagram of it. You understand, right? Yeah,
Yes,
any
yes.
question? Okay. Okay, good. So we'll go to the last verse of 15th chapter. Can you read?
This is the most confidential part of Vedic scriptures. One is a sinless one. It is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection.
So
Lord clear.
so you just have to understand this as it is, and we'll become the most wise person, and we'll achieve perfection also. Go ahead.
The Lord clearly explains here that this is the substance of all revealed scriptures, and one should understand this as it is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, one will become intelligent and perfect in the transcendental knowledge. In other words, by understanding this philosophy of Supreme Personality of Godhead, engaging in his transcendental service, everyone can become freed from all contamination of modes of material nature. Devotional service is a process of spiritual understanding. Whoever devotional service exists, the material contamination cannot coexist. Devotional service to the Lord and the Lord Himself are one and the same because they are spiritual devotional service. Spiritual devotional service takes place within internal energy of the Supreme Lord. The Lord is said to be sun, and the ignorance is called darkness. When the sun is present, there is no question of darkness. Therefore, whenever devotional service is present under proper guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, there is no question of ignorance. Everyone must take to this consciousness of Krishna and engage in a devotional service to become intelligent and purified. Unless one comes to this position of understanding Krishna, engages in devotional service,
Here, however intelligent he may be.
however intelligent he may be in the estimation of some common man, he is not perfectly intelligent. The word anaga by which Arjuna is addressed is significant. Anaga or sinless one means that unless one is free from all sinful reaction, it is very difficult to understand Krishna. One has to become free from all contamination, all sinful activities. Then he can understand both devotional service is so pure and potent that once one is engaged in devotional service, he automatically come to the stage of sinlessness. While one is performing devotional service in association of pure devotees in the full Krishna consciousness, there are certain things which require to be vanquished altogether. The most important thing one has to surmount is the weakness of heart. The first fall down is caused by desire to lord it over material nature. Thus, one gives up the transcendental loving service of a supreme Lord. The second weakness of heart is that as one increases the propensity to the Lord, it over material nature, he becomes attached to the matter and the possession of the matter. Problems of material existence are due to this weakness of a heart. In this chapter, the first five verses describe the process of freeing oneself from this weakness of a heart, and the rest of the chapter from sixth verse through the end discuss Purushottama Yoga.
Okay. So, so Krishna said this is the most confidential part of the Vedic scripture, meaning this is a secret. Whoever knows this secret will become wise and know perfection. Few things Prabhupada writes in this purport is that devotional service requires one to be sinless. This one needs to be sinless. But at the same time, a sinful person may perform devotional service, then he automatically comes to the stage of sinlessness. Okay.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So the thing is that even though one may be contaminated and uh, then cannot serve Krishna, but if he does devotional service, then he can serve Krishna because it brings them to the sinlessness state. Yeah, so there is a story of Putna, right?
Yes,
So
Prabhuji.
Putna wanted to kill Krishna. Okay, so she was very sinful, but she did a little service to Krishna by giving him her milk, right?
Yes.
So he thought she did service as a mother. So then he sent her back to Godhead. He killed her, but he sent her back to Godhead. So even though she did wanted to do devotional service, but because Krishna took it like a devotional service, he freed her from all the sins immediately. So she became sinless. Okay. Now, if by performing devotional service, there is some weakness in heart. Weakness in heart means that weakness within our will, within our desire, within our wish, which is not letting us serve Krishna 100%. So, what are those? There are two types here mentioned. One is the desire to lord over the material nature. This is mine, me and mine. And when this desire is there, then one becomes attached to that matter and possession of matter. Um, we see sometimes, rich people, they become very attached to their property, right? And uh, and therefore that is the weakness of heart. First thing they say, this property is mine, then they become very attached to it. I won't give it to anybody. We see this. So then, someone who's having this kind of mentality, it becomes very difficult for them to perform devotional service. In devotional service, we have to offer some flower, some holy name and all that. Now if somebody is miserly, then uh, what is he going to offer? Nothing, right? So that is like the weakness of heart. So this weakness of heart, how to remove it is explained in the first five verses. So let's go to the five verse and let's see. So Krishna talks about a inverted tree. Then he says, the twigs are the objects, and the tree has also roots that are going down and which are going up, like that. The real form of the tree is not perceived. Okay, it's a reflection, no? So the real form cannot be perceived by us, but we need to, with determination, we have to cut down that tree with a weapon of detachment. So what all we should have? Determination and detachment, d square, or 2D formula, determination and detachment. And Krishna then says, what does that qualities mean? One should be free from false prestige. False prestige means this is mine, this is me and mine. You know, things are given in our life, then they are taken away also. So how can it be ours? Things are pretty rental to us, right? For some time we possess a thing, then we have to leave that. Then one has to be free from illusion. What is reality? What is not reality? If that understanding comes, then the illusion is removed. And false association, associating with what kind of people? Devotees or non-devotees? So associating with devotees who understands the eternal, who understand that he himself is eternal, the part and parcel of Krishna, the soul. He's done with material lust, the material enjoyment he doesn't like now. He's freed from the dualities of happiness and distress. Whether happiness comes, distress comes, he is not caring at all. He just simply wants to serve Krishna in whatever the situation. And he's unbewildered. See, at the time of death, right? People become very bewildered. Bewildered means they become frightened. They're not able to think properly. But a pure devotee, he is unbewildered, even at the time of death or danger. And when we have all these qualities, then surrendering to Krishna becomes very easy. And the result is that we attain eternal kingdom. Okay. So the first five verses tell how to cut down our attachment to material things. And the rest of the thing is all Purushottam Yoga. How Krishna is the supreme. He is different from the fallible, infallible living entities. He is the one who is maintaining everything. We read this, right? Um, yeah, he's entered the three worlds and is maintaining everything. So one who knows this, that Krishna is a transcendental person, he is the greatest, and then start devotional service onto him, he achieves all perfection. He becomes wise and perfect. So any questions at this point?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay. So we finished the 15th chapter. So no questions. Then let's meet.